Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to the PhysioBRAIN channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about how avoiding head impacts can help prevent the onset of dementia. As you already know, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, like the video, and share it with anyone you think needs to know this information. So guys, in this particular video, we're going to thoroughly discuss cranioencephalic trauma, specifically head injuries, those significant traumas precisely resulting from direct impact to the head, okay? In the latest recommendations from specialists studying dementia, they found that head trauma, cranioencephalic trauma is related to the development of dementia later on, okay? So why is it important for us to talk about this? Because we know that there are various sports, right? Combat sports, and even some professions, not just fighters, but professions that involve situations where impacts can occur, things that might fall on the head, even with the use of helmets. People who fall a lot and suffer repeated trauma to the head area may have a higher probability of developing dementia, right? Including, for example, Alzheimer's disease. So what do we need to do? Prevention, right? It's a modifiable risk factor, because if we change this condition where the person experiences a lot of head trauma, they will no longer have that risk factor. So what do we do? What is our recommendation? It's prevention. So for example, what is most relevant to our daily lives, right? If the person is a fighter, if that's their profession, there's no way you can tell them to just stop fighting, right? So to speak. Or if you have a job where you are constantly exposed, for example, people who work in mines, people who work on construction sites who are sometimes at risk of falling or having objects fall on their heads, you should avoid this as much as possible. Avoid head injuries as much as you can, because this can really impair cognitive functions and cause deficits, lead to neuronal loss, cause memory loss down the line, and the person may end up developing a neurodegenerative disease, okay? And what is very common is that over time, people, especially the elderly, start to fall. And with these falls come the consequences of these traumatic brain injuries, okay? Or accidents, where a person might, for example, crash a car or have a domestic accident. But usually what happens with elderly people is an increase in the number of falls. And in these falls, these types of traumatic brain injuries can occur. So what do the specialists recommend? Prevention is one of the main factors. Prevention is really important, okay? So if a person falls, keeps falling, right? There are elderly people who, according to studies, can fall up to 5 times a week, or even more than that, almost once a day. There are elderly people who fall more than once a day, and this is very common. We might not realize it, but it's very common and it's very sad, so we need to prevent this. If the source of the injuries is falling, then let's prevent falls. Let's do physical exercises, let's do physical therapy, refer these people to exclusive and specialized training to prevent falls. And by doing this, we'll prevent traumatic brain injuries and in turn, prevent the onset of dementia. You see how one thing is connected to another, and over time, this leads to a better quality of life if we can prevent falls among the others. So that was today's tip. Very simple. Avoid traumatic brain injuries, head trauma, blows to the head, so that we don't develop dementia in the future. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video if you haven't already, and share it with anyone you think needs to know this information, with that person who has already fallen, hit their head at some point, or had an accident, so they can be aware as well. All right. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. That way you'll help me keep bringing this kind of information. A hug, and I'll see you next time.